I now yield 5 minutes to a gentleman from Maryland, very active member of this committee, Congressman Cummings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Barosky, it's good to see you again. Have you had a conversation with Mr. Geithner since you took office?
I spoke to him in late January.
And that's it?
That's it.
For how long was that conversation?
It was a couple of minutes before a larger meeting with Mr. Dodaro and Ms. Warren from the Congressional Oversight Panel.
The reason why I asked that question is as I listened to the Chairman's questions and our ranking members, it seems to me that you all should be on the same team to a degree. I mean, I know there's a wall there, but I guess, you know, a lot of the things that that are coming up should concern all of us. And I want to follow up on some of the Chairman's questions. You said a moment ago that you got 12 million hits. That's a lot of hits to your system. What that means is that apparently the public is very interested in what's going on with regard to this money. And I think the thing that concerns me is that something that you had said in the Joint Economic Committee not very long ago was your concern about the appearance of some conflicts. Do you still have those concerns?
I think my concerns are greater today than they were a couple of months ago when I spoke to you in the Joint Economic Committee.
And why do you say that?
Because of the absence of walls in this public-private investment program. I think that the danger here of the perception of picking winners and losers, of giving these 9 economic firms, 9 out of the 100 that applied, the ability to set prices and not put the right type of restrictions in place to make sure that they're not going to otherwise profit unfairly at the expense of the market. If these firms do start having those types of profits in other aspects of their firms, I think the criticism that has previously been leveled at Treasury, the picking the winners and losers, the opaqueness of how decisions are being made, could be potentially devastating to the program and potentially devastating to just the way American people view their government. So it's a very serious concern of mine.
This morning on Morning Joe, they had a fellow named McDonald who's written a book, and he used to work for Lehman Brothers, and he alleged that Mr. Paulson intentionally allowed Lehman to fail. Now, normally I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. But what we are beginning to see is, and then he laid out the evidence, and it sounded pretty logical. And I think that when we start getting in these, and the reason why I mentioned the 12 million hits is that, and I really believe this, in order for us to get past this economic situation that we find ourselves in, the public has to believe that we're doing the right thing. And they have to believe, and I think one of the things that make them believe is transparency. I agree with you on that. And so I'm trying to figure out, you know, and there's one thing, and one of the things that I'm concerned about is a lot of times when we see a report that doesn't look too favorable, a lot of times we have a tendency to shoot the messenger and not address the report. But there's one thing that you said here that's quite telling. As a former prosecutor, and I guess you're still a prosecutor now, you said something about 35 open criminal investigations. And I know what it takes to even get to the point to start even investigating. Let's assume only 5 of them have some legs on them. I mean, are you seeing any kind of pattern? And I think what my concern is that if there is a pattern, maybe this Congress needs to be doing something, and I'm trying to figure out, is there anything that we need to be doing to give you more power than what you have to accomplish the things that you have to accomplish? Because one thing is for sure, if we cannot get to a point of the American people at 12 million hits, if we can't show them that we are doing the right thing with their money, as the chairman has alluded to, we're going to have problems. I don't see how we can get past this because the American people are not going to buy it.
No, and I couldn't agree with you more, the importance of transparency for all the reasons that you stated, as well as just the fundamental fact that the taxpayers are the investors. And I think the reason why we see 12 million hits and more than 700,000 downloads of our reports is because the American people want to know what's going on in their investments. They want to understand these programs, and we serve a role basically to translate these programs from the very, very complicated descriptions that Treasury puts out, and we try to translate it into English with tutorials and explanations. So I do agree. As to your question about the criminal investigations, we haven't seen a major pattern. We have a lot of investigations related to the mortgage modification. There's a lot of scams out there, people trying to take advantage of struggling homeowners, so there's a fair number there. But the rest of the investigations really go across the board. We have some incredibly complex securities and accounting fraud investigations of banks that either have attempted to or actually applied for or received TARP funds that may have lied to the government in order to get that funding. We have cases of insider trading on inside information they may have learned about the TARP. Really, almost any type of white-collar crime you can think of, we're touching on our investigations. Really, it's what you would expect when you're putting so much money out on such a short period of time, and many instances with very few conditions. And they really do cover the board.
Thank you very much.